Hey people, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. Welcome back to another episode of Albums Ranked. Today we are going to tackle one of the more brutal and extreme bands that I listen to. There aren't heaps of them, but this one is weirdly amazing and so brutal and so fun. We're talking about the Austrian diabolical blackened death metal Belphegor. We're talking about Belphegor today. We're going to rank all of their what's up with my throat? We're going to rank all of their. They have 11 albums, which I was actually quite blown away by, because there's not a lot about them in terms of online hunting. Unfortunately, they're one of those extreme underground bands, you could say, that they're a festival band. You know, they'll do so much for festivals, but in terms of like worldwide tours and things like that, they don't get out much. So yeah, I've been a fan of Belphegor now for about probably only like maybe 3 years or so. I remember going through my when I first found black metal and started getting into some real dark and scary stuff. All I wanted to do was to try find a video explaining to me who Baphomet was, the devil, you know. And I just typed that into YouTube and just saw what came up. And weirdly enough, the first thing that came up was a song by Belphegor called Baphomet, and I was like, oh. I mean, it didn't really help with what I was after, but at the same time, I couldn't help but click it, and yeah, I was immediately blown away. It didn't become my favorite song by theirs, but that's how I found them, looking for demons. So yeah, we're going to tackle their 11 discography. They do have a new album coming out in May, I believe, but I'm not going to wait till May to rank it in. I'm sure it's going to be great. Their last couple of albums have been pretty amazing. So yeah, we're going to go from 11 to 1 and see who gets where, really. So yeah, without further ado, let us dive deep into the diabolical blackened death metal that is Belphegor. So first up, well, not really first up, you could say last up, we'll say. Number 11 is an album that you would, if you know me, you wouldn't expect me to put it this low, because I'm such a sucker for debuts, and debuts are incredibly important. But in this weird circumstance, I'm chucking the debut at the bottom. It's not a bad album. When you have a band that pretty much sticks to one genre, like throughout the entire thing, with a couple of different variations here and there, they can all sort of blend together. So it can be, if you're not like die hard into it, it can be hard to differentiate the two of them. However, the reason I've put this one at the bottom is purely because it's probably because it's definitely one of the most death metal like albums that they have. I suppose they're just going over who they are, trying to figure out what's going on, you know. But I mean, it's not to say that it's a bad album. If you're into hard, aggressive death metal, then this album, The Last Supper, is probably really, really up there for you, you know. But unfortunately for me, not being a massive, massive death metal fan, you know, Black and Death, sure, but not pure black. Not pure death. It can get a bit, oh, okay, this is why I don't like death metal. However, I will say one song that did stand out for me, a big chunk, was the March of the Dead's a cool song. That's got some cool things in it as well. And one thing that does tie all these albums together, you know, regardless of which one it is they are all filled with riffing. Some simple riffs, some absolute crazy sort of technical death metal riffs. But yeah, every album is full of riffs, and that's probably the one thing that connects them all together, apart from the brutal vocals and lyrical themes. But yeah, other than that, really, there's not a huge lot to say on this. So yeah, I think we're just going to leave it there. Number 11 is The Last Supper. Moving up, number 10 is the album that came after it, Blood Sabbath, from 1990, I want to say 1997, was it 98, one of those 2 years. These two albums, Supper and that one, Blood Sabbath, have both just been re-released. Thankfully, that was the only way I was able to listen to them without YouTubing it. It's different. It's definitely look at the album cover though. You could tell straight away what angle we're getting with this album. There's some. It's not as raw as the Dark Throne like Mayhem type stuff. Like it's not recorded on an 8-track machine, but it's still quite raw. The production is better, but yeah. I think the reason I've put this one at number 10 is purely because for that reason. I think it's raw enough to be quite low, I think. But again, that doesn't mean to say that it's a bad album. Like, these albums are pretty cool if you love aggressive music. If you love aggressive music, go for the first one if you want death metal. But if you want more blackened stuff, obviously check Blood Sabbath out. There's some really, really cool songs on here that, make it still listenable. I remember Behind the Black Moon's pretty awesome, and so is Purity Through Fire. That's got some pretty evil stuff as well. And the Requiem of Hell I enjoyed as well. But yeah, again, it's going quite low on the list. So yeah, not much more than that really. Moving on to number 9. I swear this ranking is not just going chronological, because number 9 is Necro Demon Terror Satan, which is an incredible name, I must say, and a great album cover too. It's along the same lines as Blood Sabbath, but yeah. The first thing that I noticed about this album that made it a tiny bit better was production. Although I think, if I'm right, I think it was this album, the snare drum sounds a bit intense. It's either really timid, and I think it might be the only thing that lacks. The production has stepped up, but I think the snare drum sounds a bit funny. But aside from that, song-wise, they're getting a lot better. The title track, Necro Demon Terror Satan, is pretty damn awesome. It's such a brutal opener. It's just like, oh, okay. They've kind of figured out their roots now, you could tell by this sort of album. And we found a path that they enjoy, and definitely stuck to it. Songs like Necro Demon and the second song, Vomit Upon the Cross, really, really cool stuff. Reading the lyrics to these albums is I don't know. It's pretty hardcore. Half of it sometimes is in other languages, Austrian, German, I don't know. But when the stuff that you can read that's in English is, yeah, go look up some. Just handpick a few songs. You don't need encouragement of which ones, but yeah, just pick a few and you'll see what I mean. But this album it's better. We're getting better now. But Sadism Unbound was quite funny. SBSR. Don't know what that stands for, but that's quite a brutal song as well. But yeah, number 9, unfortunately, is Necro Demon Terror Satan. Again, great name. Number 8 is not the 4th album. Finally, we've broken the what do you call it? Chronological. We've broken the sequence. Number 8 is Walpurgis Rites Hex in 1. Whatever Hex in 1 means, I don't know. But yeah, this is the 8th album by these guys, released in 2009, I believe. I'm pretty sure. But yeah. Production-wise, obviously we're in 2009 now, so production-wise, this one is through the roof. All these albums now, like, the production is pretty damn clear and pristine, despite how brutal and hardcore it is. But yeah, this is just another sort of brutal, fun. Well, I say fun, but it's just all of it is just go, 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 go. In terms of like double basses and blast beat snares and things like that. The riffing though is still pretty amazing. Like always, Helmuth's lead playing is weird. It's sort of like death metal playing, where it's like it's unorthodox kind of thing. It's just like it's not so much it's not so much Morbid Angel stuff where it's just harmonics going mental on the whammy bar. There is a bit of melody involved to it, so that kind of stands out from other typical sort of death metal bands, and that's kind of why I like it. Helmuth is a great lead player and rhythm player too. He's got chops on both. It's ridiculous. The song, the opening, Walpurgis Rites, again, awesomely brutal opener. Really, really fun. I have to look at these in order to read them correctly. Veneratio Diaboli, I am sin. That's a cool song too. Again, lyrics, go look those up. Hail the New Flesh was funny. I almost got a this is the new shit vibe, like Manson. I know it's nowhere near the same, but that's just what I saw when I read the word. But The Cross is Made of Bone, that's probably the best song on the album. I don't know, it's just a really, really awesome... I think it's just a really, really cool song. I think it might be because, for once, it's not a typical death metal riff. It's almost like a thrash metal riff, but quite slow, if you know what I mean. Compared to Belphegor, it's quite slow. It's probably fast for me and you, but like for them, it's quite slow. And it's nice to finally get a kind of bit of break in these 45, 50-minute albums. You know, it's a fun riff, and it's a great song. Lyrically, it's really, really cool too. And Enthralled Toxic Sabbath, that's a cool song too. But yeah, these albums are getting so much better now. But yeah, number 8 is Walpurgis Rights. Number 7 is an album with a really cool album cover and a really cool name, and it definitely fits what's going on today. Pest Apocalypse 6. Obviously 6 referencing the 6th album, which is funny because I have it at 7, not at 6. All good. Yeah. Again, production-wise, they're all brilliant. They're all incredibly full, like, nothing's timid anymore, so that makes me really, really happy. Really cool to listen to. This album in particular has some pretty amazingly brutal songs, like every album pretty much, but there's one in particular that really stands out to me on this one, and it's the first song, and it cracks me up that they are on the 6th album and they've just only referenced the name of their band, or the demon that they're named after, Belphegor. The first song on this album is called Belphegor's Hell's Ambassador, and when he sings the word Belphegor, I should say when he growls the word Belphegor, it is beyond any sort of death metal growl. It's like floor shaking, like it is summoning stuff. That's the voice. It's a summoning voice. It's so insane. Just listen to that song itself and you'll get what I mean. However, there are other songs on here too. Angel of Retribution is a slower one, I think, if I've got that right. Chance for the Devil, 1533. I read that title and I was like, yeah, that's going to be a really cool song. But all of it's it's not in English. So you try to read the lyrics along, you try to sound them out, and it's not the hardest language to read, but I mean, still, you need a bit of practice if you want to sing along to it, and that's what's annoying about it. But still, it's a great song. The Ancient Enemy I quite liked as well. Really, really fun one. And Sanctus Perversum, that's another incredibly offensive song, you could say, to the religious Christian people. But this whole band is offensive to the religious Christian people, so it's no surprise there. But yeah, I like this album. It's great. Number 7, Pest Apocalypse 6. Number 6 is actually an album that I had higher until I listened to a couple more albums again, just to kind of really influence where it was going to go, and they overtook this one. So number 6 is Blood Magic Necromance from 2011. This is the band's 9th album now, so yeah, again, like I said before, I don't need to say it again, but I will for time. Production. This is probably the crispest album I think they've got, especially up to this point anyway. It sounds so full, it's ridiculous. And what kind of makes this album a bit different is the fact that it is slower. It's sort of like, it's not, it's not go, 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 go all the album through. Some people don't like that. Some people want raw. Some people want brutal and fast and heavy when they have their Belphegor dished out to them. And let's just say, when I was listening to all of this, because I was listening to it all so much, it was quite nice to get a song or two that weren't at 666 beats per minute. And Blood to Devour the Sanctity. That's a great song too. Finally, a song that I fell in love with real quick. Rise to Fall and Fall to Rise. I was jamming that over and over again. It's quite a long song. It's a 6-minute song compared to these guys. And I would just listen to it on the way to and from work, and it would just get me in such a hype. It's really cool. And I don't know, it sounds like it's got orchestral elements in it, but I don't think it does, because it's like the only song, minus maybe 3, that have some sort of orchestra behind it, but it sounds really good and it sounds really, really amazing, really. The song Blood Magic Necromance I knew from a long time. Well, I said when I found the band, but I never really listened to it. Probably because it's a 7-minute song, and it starts with a solo, and then the vocals have this weird, like almost like underwater drowning effect on it. It's different, but it's cool. Discipline for Punishment is cool. Angeli Mortis de Profundis. Is that what language is that? I don't know, but that's cool. And just the name of this, Impaled Upon the Tongue of Satan. Great song, really really awesome stuff. There's some pretty. The songwriting on this is much more. I don't know what the word is, but it's so much more together. It's so much more creative. It's just better. That's a better word for it. And Sado Messiah, there's some funny songs on here. Like if you when you listen to it, you might not think it's funny until you read it, and then it becomes funny because you're like, wow, they actually put that in a song, kind of thing, But that's what I reckon for number 6 on Blood Magic Necromance. Number 5 is Goat-Reich Flesh Cult. You get an idea of what this album's kind of about, going off the title name. It is pure. It's very. I mean, they all are, but this one and a couple of others are very satanic, more so than other stuff. Like the first song, the Crucifixus Annos D. I'm sure that translates to something pretty horrible, but aside from that, it's actually a really great song. It's such a fun song. I quite like it. Sepulchre of Hypocrisy, that's quite cool too. And the title track itself, Goat-Reich Flesh Cult. I mean, it's a great word. It's a great phrase. It's a great name. It's just like it's English, but it's not. If you know, it's we don't talk. English people don't talk like that, but it's just funny to see them together. Swarm of Rats was a fantastic song. I fell in love with that one pretty quickly, and the Crowd Massacre. Honestly, there's some of these songs are really great, and then by the time like. A few of them they can blend together because when you get an album like this one where it's just go the whole time, you start to think, is this the same song? Like, what was the gap? Like, where was the gap between this and that song? But no, like this album stood out. I remember playing it again. It's a fun album. It's offensive and it's brutal, but it's fun. It's full of riffs, and the leads on this are insane. They all, musicianship wise, is insane. They're an incredibly fast band, for a better word. They just go all the time, and even when they're slow, it still sounds brutal and heavy. But yeah, I love this album. I think it's definitely pretty damn awesome. One of the better ones. I want to buy it. I want to own it. But yeah, number 5, Goat-Reich Flesh Cult. Number 4 is the album that I had quite low below the last two, and instead we've just had I think only this morning I decided, no, it needs to go above, and that is the 2008 album Bondage, Goat, Zombie. Again, at first I was like, what kind of a name is that? And looking at the album cover, I was like, okay, boys. I mean, you can only keep up the satanic burn the priest image for a while, but I mean, weirdly enough, get past that, and this album is incredible. I love this album. I think it's really cool. Bondage, Goat, Zombie is a fun, you could say, single in a way. It's nothing to be taken seriously, but like, it's a great song, and the vocals on it, all the vocals on all of them, they're brutal as, and it's just insane. Stigma Diabolicum is a cool song too. Armageddon's Raid, that's quite cool. I think that one's quite slow. I'm probably wrong. I'm not sure. But Justine, Soaked in Blood, that's got this awesome. Pretty sure it's the chorus. If not, it's just a section where there's black metal trim picking underneath it, and then it just outlines like the tune, even though it's death metal, so it's not really a tune, but like, and then it changes key, it like goes up a few steps. I'm not sure. I'm not really clever in terms of that stuff, but it just sounds really nice and sounds really cool. And I've been playing that one a lot as well, that song. And I think that song is half the reason why it made me sort of look at the album again and be like, oh, actually, maybe we should put this one a bit higher. So then, yeah, we carried on. Sex Dictator Lucifer. That's a fun one too. And it's got some interesting sound effects in it. It begins with... some sounds, and it ends with this wonderful female voice experiencing the purest joy of life, really. I don't mean giving birth, I mean the other thing. But yeah, Shred for Satan, that's a cool song. Just We Shred for Satan, Hail the Goat, things like that. Very, very cool. And yeah, songs, yeah, that's why I've chucked, what are we? Number 4. Bondage Goat Zombie. Was it number 4? Was it number 3? 5, I don't know. Bondage Goat Zombie, great album. Probably, yeah, I have a bigger appreciation for this album than I did a week ago. It's so cool. It's so brutal, so fun. Just go listen to it. Number 3 is Toten Ritual, their latest album from 2017. Yeah, so this is the album where this is definitely not so much a pure, brutal, blackened death metal. Like, it's definitely a lot more musical. I'll say musical, you know, like the riffs aren't all go, go, go. There's some slow moments, there's some catchy moments. But it is, again, definitely, it's leaning towards more of a death metal sound, but vocally, it's much clearer to understand. It's so much more than just what The Last Supper sounds like, where it's just like, what? Cannibal Corpse-y type, you know, it's death metal, but it's like Dark Funeral, but lower, not as phlegmy. There's not as much phlegm going on in this one, but yeah. So this album has the first song I heard, Baphomet, which is a really, really cool song. I'm not entirely sure what that rake up is. I think he's doing the strings behind the nut. That's what it sounds like, but yeah. I listened to this album when I was going through that looking for dark music vibe phase, and yeah, Baphomet, the Devil's Son, that's a cool song. It's got a really funny spoken intro, and it just blast beats away. It's great. Swine Fever, Region of Pigs, that's a really fun one. I like that one because it starts with a quote from The Exorcist 3, I think, about how God is not here with us now. Very, very cool. Spell of Reflection too on the second half of the album is cool. It's pretty brutal, like the whole song, but then you get to the end and it's just got this awesome ending riff that made me kind of go like, oh, that's what I mean when I say the word, like, it's a lot more musical, there's more tunes going on. It's very, very cool. Yeah, Spell of Reflection, Apophis, the Black Dragon, it almost follows the same vibe as Baphomet in terms of how they sing it. It's the same syllable, it's 3 syllables, so it just fits together. But yeah, Totem Cult is a great song too. But yeah, really, really great album. Definitely would highly recommend giving Totem Ritual a call. And obviously, if this is the latest album, if the next album's anything like this one, then it'll be pretty damn good. Number 2 is an album that I own. I own number 2 and number 1, which is probably why I own them and why they're at number 1 and number 2. Number 2 is from 2003. We have the vinyl here, really cool, but I'll put a picture up of it anyway. We've got Lucifer Incestus. I'm not entirely sure what encouraged me to buy this album. I probably knew the few songs off Toten Ritual, Baphomet and the Devil's Son and all that, and I probably just saw that it was available and it was limited. It's blue, so it's limited to like 300 copies or something, so I was just like, yo, yes please, you know. It's very, very cool. This album, I love it so much purely because of, well, for one, the album cover. Enough said. The name, you can get a vague idea of what we're talking about here. But the songs, oh my god, the songs, they're just so, like, I can't think of a better word other than offensive, because they're just, the intro, this album has an intro song. It's not a song, it's an intro scene, you could say. It's called Inflammante Christianos, which translates from Latin to burn the Christians. So it's just the sound of a fire starting and people screaming. And I'm assuming it's Helmuth just shouting Inflammante Christianos kind of thing. So that's really cool. The Goat Christ I've loved since I first heard it. This is the second song, which, what more do you want? The Goat Christ. It's a great song. It's a great album. It's a great name. It's a great album. Demonic Staccato Erection is a funny song. Incredibly offensive. Yeah. I got nothing more to say about it. It's just a blast beated album, and I think this was the first album where this came after Necro Demon Terror Satan, and the production went through the roof. It was compared those two albums together and how they sound, it was like boom, great stuff, really really cool. The Blood of Christ, that song is quite offensive too, and weirdly one of my favorites. And then Lucifer Incestus, the song, it's a really quick song, it's only like 3 minutes long, but yeah, fantastic album. And then you got Flesh Requiem 69, which is this outro. Lucifer Incestus is a really really great album. If you're into proper satanic, like, cursing stuff, then go check out Lucifer Incestus. You won't regret it. And then yeah, that means of course number 1 is this shirt I'm wearing, but you couldn't really see because of the video cutting it off, but that's alright. We've got number 1 being Conjuring the Dead. Conjuring the Dead is again a fantastic record. I heard Conjuring the Dead again around the same time I heard the song Baphomet, and I was much more into Conjuring the Dead, the song, more so than Baphomet, because I think it was much more, I found it a lot more aggressive, but at the same time catchy. You could very sort of understand the lyrics to Conjuring the Dead, but and again, it had a proper music video, and that just made me see who these guys were and what they looked like, and the video to Conjuring the Dead is insane. It's so brutal. But yeah, this album is great. Conjuring the Dead is a cool song. It's not even the opener. Gas Mask Terror is an error, which sounds like Christmas Terror when he sings it, but hey, Gas Mask Terror has a really fun riff. I like the riff in that. Even though it's probably in like A sharp tuning, it's easy to play in standard as well. That's all though. Yeah, Conjuring the Dead, great song. What else we got? Blackwing Torment, that's quite fun. In Death is a cool song as well. They're so brutal. Legions of Destruction is quite scary, the word? I don't know. But then you have my favorite song, which is just such a brutally brooding, creepy, I don't know if creepy is the right word, but Flesh, Bones and Blood, and which sounds sort of the same to my favorite Harry Potter chapter, Flesh, Blood and Bone, the sacrifice chapter. But yeah, the riff to that song, it's Jaws. It just sounds like Jaws. Dunk, 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 dunk. And it's any song that's brutal, that sings about 666, the number, it's a good song in my books. So yeah, the production of Conjuring the Dead is beyond great, and I saw this in the shop and I had to pick it up because never seen Belphegor physically in the shop before ever. So yeah, that's it. That's Belphegor's number 1 album, and if you haven't heard anything by them and you want to check it out, I probably would give that album to you before any other one. That one, and just go through my list backwards and check them out that way. You won't regret it. But yeah, awesome as team. Thank you so much for hanging out with me while we discuss a brutally offensive band, and I just wanted to show you that I do listen to some other stuff. I don't just wear these shirts because the pictures are cool. I do genuinely like this kind of music, and it's all good fun. But yeah, thank you so much for hanging out while we talk about Belphegor and their brutal path through the musical. Keep an eye out for the next ranking. I'm not sure who it's going to be at this point because I've given all my energy to listening to that, but I'm sure it'll come to me. No stress. And yeah, who knows what the next video is going to be, and who knows when it's going to come out. So just keep refreshing the homepage and see if our face pops up. But until that happens, like always, stay inside, stay safe, and I'll see you all later.